story starts at London Airport on a cold December day. Certainly not the best time of year for travelling, yet the passenger list of this Scandinavian airliner contained 4 distinguished names in British motoring. David Humphrey, driver-mechanic of the Roots staff, Johnny Cutts, another thoroughbred Roots man, and Leslie Johnson and Stirling Moss. Before our travellers left the airport, a car was shipped from Newcastle-on-Tyne to Oslo. Nothing very exciting or unusual in that, but now perhaps you'll recognise this car. It made its debut at this year's London Motor Show. Yes, the new 4-litre Humber Super Snipe, a car designed to cater for the export markets of the world, designed for high performance and hard use. But with Europe in the grip of December snow and ice, Norway is not the only winter wonderland. The car was completely standard from the works, but weeks of careful thought and planning by Norman Garrod, the Roots Group competition expert, and his men preceded this arrival on the quay at Oslo. But already, this placard on the car is attracting attention. 15 countries in 5 days, a trip to show the flag indeed. Meantime, let's check the map. From north to south across the continent the journey lies. 3,350 miles of open European roads in winter. Oslo to Lisbon via Yugoslavia. 15 frontier passport stamps were to be the trophies and the proof of this achievement. 30 are the minimum target speed and no allowance for the hazards of the road nor for refueling either men or machine. In Sweden, Stirling Moss had several reminders that there one motor's on the left. But the road system is a good one, provided of course that someone keeps an eye and a finger on the route card. Cutts brought the Humber onto the boat for the crossing of the narrow sound from Sweden into Denmark. He'd been cruising the car at between 60 and 70 miles an hour over the snowbound roads. Then Germany, steeply cambered roads, shining in places with sheet ice, and even the high-speed Autobahn, a skating rink on concrete. Westing now. Düsseldorf, the Rhine, Holland, and another frontier stamp to add to the collection. And then some highland once again, the snowy Ardennes of Belgium and into Luxembourg. But as the scenery grew grander yet, the motoring became more difficult, and for hours on end, use of the brake pedal was a complete taboo. But now their quest for countries took them to one no bigger than a football pitch. The tiny principality of Liechtenstein, tucked away in the mountains between Switzerland and Austria, and the gay square of Vaduz, the capital. And now as the miles mount up, Johnny Cutts, the navigator-in-chief, checks the route, checks the time, and checks the overall average speed. And he and the duty driver have plenty to think about as the road leads on and into the mountains. Austria was the 11th frontier to fall, 11 countries in less than 3 days motoring. There was little traffic, but the snowplows were busy, keeping the road barely open. Johnson and Moss, after bickering over the point, good-humouredly of course, for several days, spun a coin to decide who should drive over the pass, and Stirling won. He tackled the climb with customary dash, making the fullest use of the easier early stages and urging the big car on with all her power. But as the road climbed higher yet, deep snowdrifts and the gradient brought the pace down to built-up area speeds. And I mean built-up areas in Britain. And there you see the summit of the Julia, the little inn that marks the spot. The briefest pause, and then the rush down towards the lake and the Italian frontier. And here Stirling Moss showed his genius at the wheel. The frontier post was shortly due to close, and the threat of a long delay had him really trying. It's in moments like these, when you're fighting against odds, that the minute's wait for the man with the oil jug seems an eternity. With the Alps behind them, Moss, Johnson, Humphrey and Cutts were able to take it easy for a while, though you mightn't think so judging from their rate of progress. They sped towards the international port of Trieste and Yugoslavia. On the return leg, Leslie Johnson, who had been taking on some rest, really came into his own. There was no fixed schedule of duty, only time. When a driver was tired, he changed, and changed in double-quick time, taking only a quick look at the car to make sure that all indeed was still well. The run from Milan to the finish at the Portuguese frontier was the climax of the trip. Characteristically, Johnson gives all the credit to Johnny Cutts, for the journey had been 15 countries in 5 days. Cutts decided it could just be done in 4, but only by averaging quite fantastic speed. And now, with journey's end almost in sight and the weather at last becoming more kind, it looked as if the 4-day target might be made. Leslie Johnson held 90 miles an hour on the clock for 20 minutes at one stretch, and Stirling Moss claims to have wound the needle clean off the clock at several points. No, they did not fail. A team like that, 4 first-class men in a first-class car, can tackle practically anything. Indeed, they did tackle practically anything. And as they sped through Portugal, their goal achieved, life and the road were sweet. Ahead lay Lisbon, and the whole country smiled its welcome at journey's end. These, then, are the trophies which they won, the flags of Europe united in a single journey. 3,280 miles in a minute under 90 hours. 15 countries in 5 days, said the placard. Well, they did it in 4, with 6 hours still in hand. The flag had been shown, and shown well and truly. Back at Herne Airport, 4 young men step from an aircraft and go their separate ways. Another chapter of motoring achievement has been written.